That's $2,800 a year divided by 12. So that's what? Say you $240 interest a month, and everything, and then so if you can rent the house. The welfare Section 8 rents houses out for $1,200, so you could make a profit at it $600.
Now, I actually have a copy of the document prepared by Aquitas on foreclosure that San Francisco actually commissioned. And it's really interesting. I actually got it from a New York Times story. But yeah, basically it talks about,
they're playing a certain game. If you don't qualify, if you're an old single person, you don't qualify.
Right. It's true.
Yeah, Habitat for Humanity builds like
list.
200,000 houses, $200,000 houses. So, I mean, most poor people can't afford that. So, I mean, they build housing for sort of middle level. I'd like to see us build housing for every human being on Earth. And I mean, I actually deliberately became homeless, and I stayed in homeless shelters for 9 days just to see why homeless people didn't stay in homeless shelters. And I found out, oh, there's plenty of shelter beds. I mean, if you and I were homeless, all over. But it's like sleeping in an insane asylum.
It is like sleeping in an insane asylum, but also there are 80,000 homeless people in LA, and there are 12,000 shelter beds.
And if you ask those 80,000 if they'd like to sleep in a shelter, they'd say, no, I'm actually happy where I am.
I disagree with you, and that's not been my experience.
Okay. Have you ever stayed in a homeless shelter?
I have.
You have?
Yes.
And what did you think of it?
I think it's a crazy place, but they do their best to make space for people who aren't on drugs and aren't gangsters. I mean, it depends where you stay.
Yeah,
of
course. I
mean, it depends where you stay.
The homeless shelters are so diverse.
They're diverse, and they've each got a very different spin.
But that's not a solution to the homeless problem, I think we really need to build housing for homeless people. And then there's been studies that the mentally ill and that homeless people destroy their shelters. The house I built was made of cement board, not sheetrock, so you couldn't put your fist through it and you couldn't destroy it. And they've discovered that it's actually cheaper to house a crazy homeless person and let them destroy the housing than to take them to the emergency room and do this and do this and do this. That it's actually cheaper to house people.
Jail is the new...
Jail's expensive.
Yeah. And
I stayed in jail for a night when I was exploring homelessness because I slept on the steps of City Hall, which is illegal. And a supervisor walked past me and said, why are you here? I told him, well, I and a number of other people were turned away from a homeless shelter because they didn't have blankets. And so I got to sleep outside because they didn't have any blankets inside. And someone made a rule that if there's no blankets, we can't let them in. So either get blankets. So this supervisor said, well, I'll have a hearing on this. And then the police came and took me to jail. And jail was nicer than sleeping on steps of City Hall because it was cold and it was granite and I had a little piece of cardboard and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a fun, playful person, but I'm really upset about homelessness, really upset. And I mean, I could teach homeless people to build housing easily because, I mean, there's like lots of components to housing that it doesn't take a college degree to build a house.
Well, there's an issue of property then, right?
Property?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Where are they going to build?
Well, the government owns a lot of property.
Owns 80% of the mortgages.
Yeah. I mean,
so what do you propose?
Well, I mean, there's lots of different things. I mean, let's say we find a lot that's zoned for one house and we put like 20 of my little cubicles and get 20 people off the street. What I'd like to do is actually put one of my cubicles on every block in America and have a homeless person that says, okay, I mean, most homeless people are able to work. And I would say, so let's have a homeless person be in charge of this block and have them, like you say, get connected and be someone that everyone in the block knows them, they know their name, they know their situation, and they're going to come around and clean up litter, paint out graffiti, plant and water trees and flowers, and make your block.